What's up everyone, welcome back to the Average Bros Media YouTube channel. Today we're here with another install on the 2005 Legacy GT wagon. Now today we're going to be installing a DAMD shaped steering wheel with red stitching. It should be a pretty easy install. There's no power controls or anything on the 05, which makes it a pretty straightforward job. This is a part I've wanted for the car for a long time. If you haven't had a chance to check out one of these wheels in person, they're super high quality, real nice touch for the interior, and kind of that last piece I've been looking for to complete the interior look on my car. So with that, let's jump right into it. Okay, so we're now ready to start with the install. Prior to even getting in the car to remove the old steering wheel, the first thing you want to do is disconnect your battery. Given that you're dealing with the airbag here, we definitely don't want any electricity running through the system. So disconnect your battery, decompress the brakes a few times to get any extra electricity out of the system, and then we are ready to go. So the first part of the install is removing the two bolts on either side of the steering column here that hold the airbag into the steering wheel. Now these require a Torx bolt socket, or if you have a screwdriver with it on it, it's a T30 is the size of the bolt head. So we'll go ahead and remove those real quickly. Now these bolts, once they're all the way loose, aren't going to actually come out of the steering column, so just go ahead and undo those until they're loose. Make sure you get both sides. So once it's disconnected, you'll be able to pull the airbag loose from the steering wheel. And now we're just going to need to disconnect a few of the wires that are behind there. So I'll go ahead and switch the camera angle to get a little better shot of that. Now once you get the airbag loose, we're going to need to disconnect the two connections from the steering wheel. There's two little yellow tabs that using a flathead screwdriver you can get popped up. And once those are popped up, the connection will come right off. Go ahead and disconnect that from the airbag, and then you can just pull this little pin down here. Now on this ground wire here, there's a little pin. You just need to press that back and then go ahead and remove that. The one thing to be careful of there is that this ground piece is not very strong, so don't let it sit at an angle. And go ahead and set that airbag out of the way. Okay, now that we have the airbag removed and the ground wire removed, the last piece is this white tab on the left hand side up here. So you're going to go ahead and just press down on the tab to release it and pull that loose. Obviously always being careful of wiring, we don't want to damage that wiring harness. So the next part is getting the center bolt off of the centerpiece so we can pull the steering wheel off. Can be kind of tough to break loose. Once it goes though, it's fairly straightforward. Go ahead and pull that off. The steering wheel is pretty loose as is, so you can go ahead and pull that nut off. This can be helpful to mark kind of where the center of the steering wheel is, so I'm going to go ahead and go grab a Sharpie real quick and mark that just so it's easy to line back up with the new wheel. So with the nut off, we're pretty much ready. Go ahead and mark the steering wheel and the threads, and then this should pop loose just like that. And there we have the wheel. So the next thing to do is we need to transfer over all the components. This plastic back piece, pretty simple, just held on by Phillips screws, and then the cruise control function. Obviously we want to transfer that over. So we go ahead and do that real quick. So we now have the back cover removed. It's held on by 3 screws, so pretty simple. Once you get those 3 screws out, you just unclip the pieces down here at the bottom side of the steering wheel, and that's ready to go on. The cruise control function is attached to that, so no need to remove those screws. We can go ahead and get rid of or set this old wheel out of the way. So as far as getting the new wheel all ready to go on, it's pretty much working backwards from what we just did, so we're going to want to attach this black backing piece onto there. So we'll go ahead and put those 3 screws back in that hold the back plastic on. there is a spot on the DAMD steering wheel for the bottom of the 2 screws that holds the cruise control on. So I'm going to go ahead and remove that so we can run it through the piece on the DAMD steering wheel and have that nice and secured. So with that removed, we'll go ahead and pop this back on. Once you get it popped back on, these 2 bottom clips here, see if I can get it in the camera, these 2 bottom clips here should clip right on, and then you'll see that the 3 bolts holes line up for where it mounts the steering wheel and as well as the cruise control. So we'll go ahead and get those back and mounted up. Okay, so that backing is all attached again, so we're going to go ahead and get the steering wheel back on. Again, it's pretty much just working backwards here from what we did earlier. So go ahead and tuck these wires through the top portion here. And then looking at that center line on the threading of the post that we did earlier, gives us some idea of how to line that up properly. We want to make sure the steering wheel is centered, in fact. So that looks pretty straight and centered to me. Go ahead, double check that everything is run through. We can hook this white plug back up for the cruise control. And then go ahead and pop this nut back on, get that hand tight. And with that back on, we can go ahead and get this snugged up. That's nice and snug. Make sure there's no slop there. And then we'll go ahead and get the airbag back on. So we'll hook that ground wire back up and then go ahead and put the black and orange connectors back in. And those just press down. Once they're in, you press the yellow thing back in to secure it. Do the same for the orange. And drop the airbag back in. Once that's fitting nice and flush, we'll go ahead and tighten the Torx bolts back. I find it's easiest to tighten them by hand all the way, and then we'll go ahead and bring the socket in just for that final turn there. You'll see the airbag starting to sit more flush again, and that's when you can kind of tell it's getting to the point where it needs to be. And we'll go ahead and get those airbag bolts snugged up. They've been tightened by hand, but just want to make sure those are nice and secure. Obviously no need to over tighten those, so once you feel that it's getting relatively tight, just whatever feels good by hand. Perfect, and that is all snugged back up, and that's the install. It's relatively easy. Probably took me about 30 minutes, and that was with stopping to film. So, you know, not filming, it's probably a 15 to 20 minute install with the proper tools. But overall, I'm very happy with the look of the steering wheel. I think it's a nice addition to the interior of any car, really. But I'm certainly glad I picked this up and looking forward to getting to drive with it a little bit. Well, that's all I have for you guys today. I hope you found that install video helpful. I'll go ahead and link where I purchased the wheel from down in the description, as well as the tools necessary to do the job. And if you like this install video, you want to see more like it in the future, please hit that subscribe button down below. We've got a lot of great installs coming up on this car as well as the WRX, and a few upcoming trips to car shows and the Western Express Rally in September that we're looking forward to sharing with you guys. As always, you can find us on Snapchat and Instagram as well, and we look forward to seeing you in the future.